together for one another. And equally amazing seeing all of you helping from across the country and the world. It really, really means a lot to everyone here.
Now, having said all that, if you've been watching cable news or getting your information from random shitheads on X, the everything app, you might assume that our city is currently a lawless hellhole that has been wiped off the face of the earth, which is obviously absolutely not true. And it's been infuriating to see the baseless conspiracy theories running rampant online from all of the usual suspects. But it's also been especially aggravating watching press conferences that are just filled with 30 minutes of vital information from local leaders and fire department representatives. Great stuff. Only to then have the police take the mic for a few minutes to claim that there's widespread looting, which, no, it does not seem to actually be true.
I'm sure that there are random... It's a very large city, so I'm sure there are some cases, but the way that this is being covered is disingenuous.
Yeah, I understand it's something to be concerned about. There is an opportunity for bad people to do bad things, but they're talking about it as if it's become a lawless hellscape. And yeah, haven't really seen any evidence to confirm that one bit. But yeah, talking about it like this, instilling fear in the public, it causes neighbors to then report people who are in the neighborhood for a legitimate good reason, which leads to a snowball effect of reports.
Someone said there's looters because that person said that this person was a looter because they heard about it.
And also arsonists. People are being reported as arsonists when no such thing is taking place. But that gets picked up on Nextdoor or whatever, and that gets picked up on the news. Oh, we have reports of looters or reports of arsonists. And so it causes media outlets to focus entirely on all of that, while the vast majority of Angelenos are doing everything they can to actually help each other or stay the hell out of the way.
But before we get into the internal MAGA civil war, which is the main topic, that, that civil war, it seems to be reaching its boiling point as we creep closer and closer to Inauguration Day. But we do want to take a moment to just go over some of the bullshit conspiracy theories that have sprung up amidst this horrific disaster. I mean, there are a ton out there, and seemingly more every day. So we're probably going to miss some. But we should probably start off with the biggest one of all, that Southern California was completely out of water and that firefighters couldn't access water because of, I don't know, any number of reasons, with one claim in particular, one that was repeated by our next president, was that California Governor Gavin Newsom stole water from Southern California in order to save a fish population.
Just a little tiny fish.
First of all, no. The smelt, a protected and endangered species of fish up in Northern California, did not impact the water reserves in Southern California at all. And the water declaration document that Trump and other members of right-wing media kept mentioning, that doesn't even exist. It's not a real thing that exists.
As for those fire hydrants running out of water, we touched on this briefly in a previous episode, but the intense hurricane-force gusts of the Santa Ana winds made fighting the fires next to impossible because the embers were just being whipped through areas far and wide and sparking fires up to 5 miles from where they originated. Air support for the fires was grounded because of the dangers of the high winds, not because the firefighting planes and helicopters were in Ukraine or whatever rumor was getting kicked around. Now, because all of this air support was grounded, firefighters had to attempt to suppress the spread and extinguish what they could using just regular old fire hydrants, which are not equipped to handle the amount of water necessary to fight these wildfires, especially at the scale of the ones we just
saw. Here's a fun trick. Take whatever local town you live in, or even if it's a big city, and compare it in just square mileage and overlay of Los Angeles, and just see how massive these fires are.
Yeah. Or run through an entire building and turn on all the faucets at once.
Yeah, see what happens.
See what happens to the water pressure. Yeah, so the landscape that they were operating in, it created another problem because of the pressure needed to send water up into the hills. It was a series of horrifically unfortunate events and situations that made it very hard for the firefighters to do their jobs, but it was mainly the result of the conditions and the location. Also, this should go without saying, but once again, because climate change creates extreme weather events.
That's why.
That's what had happened. And those extreme weather events happened after 2 years of an overflow of precipitation, which led to record growth, followed by several months of drought. That killed the abundance of growth and turned it all into fuel for those fires, which was something last year when we got just unusually large amounts of rain, I was like, in my back of my head, I'm like, this is great, but
in a year, this is going to be brown.
All of these rolling emerald hills that we suddenly have are going to be extra brown. And I figured it'd be summer when we saw the wildfires.
January,
this summer was surprisingly calm, but the drought continued into 2025, and here we are.
Now, having said all that, yes, it is maddening that our city doesn't prioritize firefighters the way it very obviously prioritizes other government services like the police department. The differences in their budgets is so vast that it would be comical if it weren't so depressing. And while crime is certainly hard to predict, and apparently impossible for the LAPD to enforce or investigate without billions in funding, fires are going to keep happening all the time. And it is in our best interest to make sure that our fire services are properly funded. Now, this next one, it's sort of a two-parter, but that last statement leads pretty nicely into the pointless and quite honestly racist and misogynistic argument that these fires and their size and spread are the result of DEI initiatives.
If we had a straight male fire chief instead of a lesbian woman, none of this would have happened.
It's just simply DEI, which we've been over before, is just the latest term that the right likes to use in public discourse instead of just saying slurs, which they want to do, but at this point still cannot.
There's a photo going around of our chief and two other administrators in the LAFD, and it's just like, these are the people running the LA Fire Department. And it's just like, no, those are the 3 women running the fire department. There's like...
Also, look at their qualifications.
Yeah, there's 3 women and like 9 or 10 men in leadership positions. So it's still overwhelmingly dudes running the fire department.
But that misses the entire point of their qualifications and the very obvious bad faith argument that conservatives are making about all of this.
Yeah, our fire chief is a woman and a lesbian, which somehow immediately means she is unqualified for the job, which is, of course, pretty rich coming from a bunch of people who are just posting on X from their toilets while they take a big old wet dump. But no, Kristen Crowley serves a city of millions of people, worked her way up the ranks after 20 years with the department to get where she is today. She was a firefighter, paramedic, a fire inspector, captain, battalion chief, chief deputy, and now fire chief. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what people are looking for in terms of qualifications, but that seems like the type of resume, the type of career path you would want from your fire chief.
Yeah. It literally, if you had if what they claim to say
they
over
just
years
plucked
is true.
Some woman off the street and said, hey, you want to be fire chief?
But what I'm saying is, like, if you, whatever Elon and Vivek and all of these other people running their mouths, if you did what they said, which is remove her personal information, meaning sex and everything else, I guess, her sexual proclivities. If you remove that and just put the resume down, I feel like they would all look at that and say, well, yeah, that seems like a qualified person.
Seems pretty fucking qualified.
They only got mad when they saw the picture.
Yeah, it's woke. The fires are woke. Also, that fire chief has been critical of our mayor for the admittedly very confusing budget discrepancies between the city and the fire department. There's been a lot of discourse regarding a couple $1 million, whether that was allocated during certain time frames or whether the budget overall was reduced or increased, depending on when you look at it. It's very confusing, and even local media has spent the last week trying to find a definitive answer on this.
Yes.
But really, none of that matters when you, once again, look at the budget allocations for our social services and have to scroll to an entire separate page to continue seeing the line for the LAPD's budget. $10 or $20 million. Obviously, that's a lot of money. But when you're talking about budgets that are already in the billions, in some cases, it's clear where we should be focusing our funds.
Yeah.
And that was a huge error on the part of our mayor.
So, yeah, we're not letting her off scot-free. It's just, there are so many other stupid, baseless conspiracies out there. It would take way too long to go through all of them. But just please, don't take everything you see or hear at face value, especially when many of those rumors or conspiracies are coming from the usual suspects, like Elon Musk, who's a total piece of shit that history will look back on with utter disdain. And actually, he is starting to finally feel at least some backlash from people who were previously fans of it.
Yeah.
Or at least tolerated
his core demographic.
Yeah.
He's just like me.
But there's also the normal folks who are just trying to do their jobs and haven't been privy to his maniacal posts. And when they come face to face with the man himself, their natural reaction is just to inform him very politely that he is full of shit.
This was so good.
So please enjoy this clip where Elon was streaming himself with a fire command team, and then starts up with his missing or stolen water bullshit, and is very quickly told that, in the nicest possible way, that's not accurate by someone in the room, a firefighter, causing Elon to then end his live stream out of what we can only hope is actual embarrassment.
Okay.
Here you go.
All right, what about water availability? Was water availability, I understand that was like not an issue in Malibu, is that correct?
Was it water?
Yeah.
So there was water. We have several reservoirs and casinos that we use a lot. Now, just an example, if we have one building burning, we could flow 1,000 gallons a minute on that one building with the hose lays that we put in to stop it. You can imagine 1,000 gallons per house we couldn't do, right? So the amount of water we're flowing, there really is no water system that's going to keep that pace. So we have to bring in water tenders. DWP did a great job. They brought in big water trucks for us, and we use them as basically mobile hydrants.
All right.
Right? And then we have our own agency as well that has water tenders.
Okay. My understanding is that like along the, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, in Malibu along the coast, there was no shortage of water. In the Palisades, there was a shortage of water at a certain point. Or is that not accurate?
Well, we were flowing just an amount of water that the system couldn't overbear. That we're just overbearing, just because of how much water these firefighters were utilizing.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. At a certain point. Okay. My understanding is that like along the, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, in Malibu along the coast, there was no shortage of water. In the Palisades, there was a shortage of water at a certain point. Or is that not accurate?
Well, we were flowing just an amount of water that the system couldn't overbear. That we're just overbearing, just because of how much water these firefighters were utilizing.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Weapons free.
All right, thanks, guys.
So you gotta love the correct me if I'm wrong to no, you are wrong. Here's the correct information pipeline we just saw, and how just defeated Musk sounds that he didn't get some kind of exploitable soundbite because the official just spoke about how great of a job everyone's doing while explaining in the simplest of terms the impossible odds that they were up against.
Yeah.
It is only a bonus that the re-upload is cropped in a way that makes Musk look like a chubby little bitch boy because that's what he is.
Yeah, he is.
But it's not normal people who are angry and frustrated with Elon Musk these last couple days.
Yeah.
No. The call is coming from inside the White House, or at least Steve Bannon hopes that he's the one sitting in the White House and not Elon Musk, because Bannon has announced that one of his highest priorities for the new Trump administration is making sure that Elon is fucking gone.
Gone. During an interview with an Italian newspaper,
Mamma mia.
Bannon laid out his honest thoughts regarding the First Buddy, as well as his plans in the coming days and weeks. Here's Mediaite who broke down the interview. Steve Bannon unloaded on Elon Musk, calling him a truly evil guy who must be run out of the MAGA movement. I will have Elon Musk run out of here by Inauguration Day, Bannon, a former Trump White House advisor, told the Italian newspaper Corriere della Sera in an interview published on Wednesday. The article was flagged on Saturday by Bannon's former employer, Breitbart, which published excerpts in English. He is a truly evil guy, a very bad guy. I made it my personal thing to take this guy down, Bannon said. Before, because he put money in, I was prepared to tolerate it. I'm not prepared to tolerate it anymore. And this, like many of the other appearances of infighting within the Republican Party, seems to stem from the very recent, very public statements about the H-1B visas, which billionaires do love because it allows them to bring in cheap foreign labor who lack the ability to defend themselves because their immigration status is tied to their job. Kind of like how Americans over the past 60 years have had their insurance tied to their job, which makes it very hard for them to speak up.
Bosses love it.
So this is obviously a bit antithetical to the traditional Republican stance on immigration.
Yeah,
we should be hiring from within and paying very, very well.
Keep them out.
And it's something that they have campaigned against for as long as both of us can remember in our 4 decades.
They don't like it.
So here's the article continuing.
In addition to Musk, Bannon blasted David Sachs and Peter Thiel, who also have roots in apartheid South Africa. Peter Thiel, David Sachs, Elon Musk are all white South Africans, Bannon said. He should go back to South Africa. Why do we have South Africans, the most racist people on earth, white South Africans? We have them making any comments at all on what goes on in the United States. I mean, he's got a very good point.
When the worst person you know makes a great, a correct point.
He's making a great point, but I don't understand how it's like applicable. I feel like it runs counter to his argument where he's saying they're not racist enough.
Yes, finding like mental consistencies here is not the point. Conservatives in general will just say whatever the correct PR thing to say is at the time.
He's right.
He is diving for power, and this is the way that he's going to do it. So any other statements, they don't make sense to him. So
Bannon took particular umbrage at a reply Musk made to a tweet suggesting Americans are, quote, the R word.
Yeah.
That pretty much sums it up, Musk wrote in a post last month that has since been deleted. He went out of his way to mock our movement as racist and R words, and he lost, Bannon said. We blew him out of the water. He won't fight. He's got the maturity of a little boy. The former Trump advisor added that Musk's sole objective is to become a trillionaire. He will do anything to make sure that any one of his companies is protected or has a better deal or he makes more money, Bannon said. His aggregation of wealth and then, through wealth, power. That's what he's focused on. He also accused Musk of wanting to implement techno-feudalism on a global scale. I don't support that and we'll fight it.
Again, do not trust Steve Bannon, but on this one topic, because he is very upset with what's going on with Elon, he's kind of putting it out there.
How much influence does he really have at this point?
We don't know, because Trump obviously has had a big falling out with a lot of the previous administration.
I think the reason he's talking to Italian newspapers is because he like lives in Italy. He like owns a monastery there that's sort of a like alt-right, like unaccredited university thing. It's very strange, but he spends a lot of time over there.
Anyways,
elsewhere in the world of MAGA infighting, it appears Trump will not be able to end Russia's war on Ukraine on day one.
Yeah.
During a CNN town hall, he said, if I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours. And here he is back in September.
That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened.
See, that sounds so easy when he describes it that way.
Yeah.
But now he's saying, well, maybe in 6 months. And his reps are going on the cable news shows to temper people's expectations about ending the war. And if it weren't clear, 6 months is just an arbitrary number that's far enough down the line that Trump can kick his can, despite it being one of his major campaign promises.
Yeah, it's just like full self-driving is right around the corner. Definitely this year.
Which, like, it doesn't matter. If you were dumb enough to believe that this man he has the sole solution to this that can end it immediately, like, it's not going to matter to you all that much that...
he failed on one of his big promises.
Well, it is really hard what he's describing. Unilaterally ending a fucking war.
Now, during a press conference at Mar-a-Lago last week, Trump said that he, quote, hopes to have 6 months. And during an appearance on ABC's This Week, Trump's incoming national security advisor also indicated that it would take months.
How many?
Months! We don't know. Months. It could be 100 months.
Yeah, that's still months.
And again, if it were to take longer, that's understandable. But we're simply pointing out another example of Trump being Trump and not changing. He made a promise that was impossible, then failed to deliver, and is now promising that it will get done, which it might not. And if Trump's track record is any indicator, the end of the war almost certainly will not benefit Ukraine.
Yeah.
And there are also, aside from all of that, conservatives being called out by other conservatives for openly mocking Alina Habba and Betty Johnson for appearing on Andrew Tate's podcast. But none of this bodes well for an upcoming administration that was already going to be chaotic. And folks, we have just under a week until that administration is in control. So hold on to your butts.
I'm like rooting for the passage of time at this point. Like, just make it go faster. Let's can I just hit the fast forward button?
I don't know. Maybe it's the fires, maybe it's everything else, but time has been moving extremely slow.
Yeah, I want to speed up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So we'll get to some more embarrassing news for Elon Musk. Honestly, like after the Adrian Dittman thing, which seems to have been pretty thoroughly debunked, I know a lot of people are disappointed about that because they're like, it would have been the ultimate checkmate on this man as a weird little freak. But folks,
don't worry.
It took less than a week for real, undeniable evidence of Elon Musk being a weird little freak to come to the surface. News that surpasses really any of the weird, freakish little things he's done before.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that and also a few more little news tidbits and updates in just a second. But first, it's time to thank today's sponsor for supporting our show. And what's that? Sounds like the careful footsteps of an enemy. And we only know that familiar sound because we've been ears deep in the newest gaming headset from today's sponsor, Turtle Beach. For a marathon winter gaming session, you're going to want the world's most comfortable headset with superhuman hearing technology. Turtle Beach's new Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset picks up so much crystal clear sound, it's basically cheating. Even if the snowblower is going off outside, you'll hear every footstep, every reload, every enemy sneaking up on you like they're stomping through your living room in tap dancing shoes.
And Turtle Beach headsets are so freaking comfortable, you'll feel like you're wearing a marshmallow cloud pillow on your head. Best of all, the Stealth 700 has the industry's first ever cross-play dual wireless transmitter system. And that means you can seamlessly switch between your console and PC just the click of a button. And it gets even better. While being connected to your console, the Stealth 700 can connect with your phone for music streaming or taking calls at the same time. Imagine listening to Led Zeppelin while going on a kill streak in Call of Duty. For a limited time, you can get 10% off your entire order with code TODAYDAILY, all one word, at turtlebeach.com. Don't miss out. Stay warm and level up your game with 10% off at turtlebeach.com using promo code TODAYDAILY because it's a new year and it's time for some new gaming gear.
We've both been rocking this headset for a while now, and not only is it super comfortable, and not only does the sound quality definitely give you an edge, the battery life's insane. It's very nice. So nice having a wireless headset that you almost never have to even think about charging. We all have that one friend whose headset always seems to die right when you're down to the last two teams. But Turtle Beach's Stealth 700 headset has an insane 80-hour battery life with quick charge, so you rarely have to think about charging it. Turtle Beach doesn't just have amazing headsets, they have every gaming accessory you could ever want, and they're all high quality at prices that don't break the bank. From flight and racing simulators to controllers, keyboards, and mice. Turtle Beach is the ultimate gaming cheat code. It's time to spend that Christmas money on something you actually love. Head to turtlebeach.com and use code TODAYDAILY for 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with promo code TODAYDAILY.
This episode is also sponsored by Mando. And we were pretty excited when they reached out to sponsor because aside from looking good, you gotta smell good.
Yeah.
Rinse up, gamers. Yeah, and in order to smell good, you gotta be hygienic.
Yeah.
Mando sent us some of their products to try out, and the results don't lie. Come on, get a good sniff.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, well, you can't smell us through your phone or TV or whatever, but we assure you that we smell very nice.
Yeah, it's too bad you can't smell us.
And that's because we are covered head to toe with Mando. Mando!
I'm more Mando than man at this point.
That's right. We've all got high hopes for the new year, or at least we did. But a lot of those plans involve working up a sweat, and you're gonna need some steak protection when you're trying to achieve those sweet, sweet gains. So it's time to try for yourself and get smelling right with Mando.
Mando is a whole body deodorant created by a doctor that is safe to use everywhere. Pits, balls, thighs, belly buttons, butt cracks, feet, wherever. And it's clinically proven to block or control odor for up to 72 hours. Their deodorant comes in stick and spray form, and you can choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. And all of their products are baking soda and paraben free. They say, and I'm reading the copy here lest you think I chose to incorporate the word grundle here, they say that Mando is clinically proven to control odor better than a shower and soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level was 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10.
Good to see you.
Here, I'll bend over and show you. No grundle odor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would, in my head, though, I imagine the scientists down at Mando holding up Olympic cards, getting a good whiff, and then holding up what they...
It's a 0 out of 10.
Yeah. Want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now? Well, you can find them in Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. Now, for the best deals, though, you're going to want to go to shopmando.com because that lets them know that we sent you. Mando's starter pack is perfect for those new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and also free shipping. As a special offer for our viewers, new customers are going to get $5 off that starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code ITDaily at shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
Gamers, rinse up.
That's right. And back into the news now. And honestly, we have been so consumed with everything going on here that it has been hard to follow the very funny, very revealing saga of Elon Musk and the action RPG title Path of Exile 2.
A game that, like,
I'm on the objective.
I look at that and I'm just like, no, I will never play that. It's one of those games where even just eyeballing it, I'm like, nope, not interested.
It's just a, isometric.
It's Diablo, but like even more fucking like detailed.
The meme that always goes around is, of course, when you play the game for the first time and you look at the skill tree and you zoom out and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Basically, Musk has been called out by an entire community of gamers for clearly, blatantly paying people to play his character around the clock to give off the impression that he is some elite gamer.
One of the top-ranked players in the world.
Not just one of the top-ranked players, one of the top-ranked players with multiple top-ranked characters on one game.
Nerds that are down in their basements doing nothing but playing Path of Exile nonstop. Cannot compete with Elon Musk, who's doing this while running the United States of America.
It's because his brain is bigger, obviously.
Yeah.
And he has more time. He has unlimited free time to become one of the world's top players in multiple games, while also running the country as the president's first buddy, or in some cases, just the president. And also flying around to try and trick firefighters into saying that Gavin Newsom personally stole water from their hoses. Now, this was already obvious with his rapid ascension in rank in Diablo. But despite being pretty obvious, no one seemed to really care, because Diablo is an action RPG for babies compared to Path of Exile.
Yeah.
Look, sorry, Diablo fans, I also play Diablo and am addicted to it, but compared to Path of Exile, you actually have to know what you're doing in Path of Exile. And you can't rely entirely on just memorizing 3 or 4 button patterns that can destroy an entire monitor's worth of enemies in seconds. You can literally just spam in Diablo at a certain level and things just explode on the screen.
Yeah, this looks like a lot of clicking, a lot of
resource
inventory
management.
Yeah, it just looks, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's and honestly, the footage, the smoking gun here, like,
he just doesn't know how to play the game.
if you showed that to me, I wouldn't have even known. I'd be like, I don't know.
Looks like someone's playing a video game.
Is he good? Is he bad? I have no fucking clue, because this is so outside my wheelhouse. I know nothing, less than nothing. So yeah, it was of course pretty fucking obvious that Elon had been paying people to level his character and find him the best loot.
And build him the best skill tree.
There's a whole separate point to make here about Elon, once again, using cheap foreign labor to make himself look good. And also, you can extrapolate from this when people talk about Tesla and SpaceX as if it's Elon Musk's single-handed invention and contribution.
It's
and whatnot.
fun when people in different areas of expertise discover this.
Yeah. But let's just get to the fucking point already. He didn't build or level this character. He paid someone else to do it.
Oh, sorry, multiple characters.
Multiple characters. And then he live streamed himself playing the game very poorly while acting as if he had done all of the work himself, which is, in all honesty,
like we said,
it's kind of his MO across all of his businesses. Someone else does the work. He takes the credit. He's like a real-life Tony Stark. How did he do it? People with knowledge and experience know that he's bullshitting, but the general public just sees him as this genius, and they buy into the other bullshit he spews. And I guess he's had so many W's lately that he really thought this would go any other way than the way that it went.
That's gonna ultimately be
crazy for me.
That will ultimately be his downfall, is the fact that he does feel invincible.
He really thought, after telling everyone on Earth that he's the best Path of Exile player in the world, he could go on and actually play Path of Exile himself, do a terrible job at it, and people would, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he has a high rank and a high level, so I mean,
he's got a lot going on. Must have been a busy night.
Yeah.
So the Path of Exile scandal, it actually seemed to serve as an awakening to a group of people that otherwise worshipped him. Gamers. Dorks.
Yeah, not you gamers, but, gamers.
Gamers.
Yeah.
Because, they weren't too happy about him faking his way to the highest levels of this game in particular.
Yeah. Now, this has been covered by various outlets over the past few days, but the majority of the reporting stems directly from the game's subreddit, where people have been gathering evidence, claims, and reactions to all of this, since Musk live-streamed himself attempting to play a game he was pretending that he had already mastered. So here's some of the evidence and analysis that was compiled. We will, of course, leave a link down in the description to the post, as always.
There's a really good video by some guy from New Zealand who's like a big Path of Exile YouTuber that like really, I was able to gain an understanding of what the hell I just saw.
Yes, it should go without saying neither of us are Path of Exile. I played the first one, but I did in no way got the hours needed to be an expert in it.
There are a couple bullet points on the evidence list where like you're like, oh, holy fucking shit.
You see the bullet point and then you watch the video and you're like, oh yeah.
The one about like putting filters on inventory collection.
Yeah, he's picking up useless items at a level that is so irresponsible to do that at.
Yeah, because like basically like
he's also clicking things in a way that you wouldn't click if you had been playing
he's like
the game
manually dragging
any
stuff.
amount of time.
But yeah, they make it so like if you're level 50 and you don't want to even
Trash.
see,
If you don't want
to
loot.
even see stuff that's like below level 30, it won't show up for you. But he's just got like a million items around.
Well,
Anyway.
first off, his character, it farmed 9 citadels within the first 11 days of launch, and this was while Musk was apparently inseparable from Trump at Mar-a-Lago.
Is that a lot of citadels?
And in addition to that character, he also has multiple other characters, 2 of which reached very high ranks on the world rank chart. So the document does continue.
If true, one would expect a decent baseline understanding of how the game works, picking up items, entering maps, etc. He does not seem to know how to use a mana flask when out of mana. He does not seem to understand that you can only run connected Atlas nodes despite the account having characters at levels which would imply he has run hundreds to thousands of maps. He picks up items by dragging them into his inventory manually. He seemingly struggles to understand why he cannot pick up an item when his inventory is full. The 4 things comment possibly indicating he does not know what the map things are. He believes his gear is lacking due to it being low level. He is unsatisfied that his gear is level 65, appearing to not understand the difference between item level and required level. Implies the Hand of Wisdom and Action Unique could be a higher level than 52. The account he is on puts their maps in a tab called Elon's Map. If it was a one-player only account, wouldn't it just be maps?
So in addition to that, members of the subreddit claim that when messaging one of the purported Elon Musk accounts to buy items from them, the message defaulted to Chinese, quote, indicating the account plays on a server that speaks primarily Chinese. And there were other indicators that whoever is playing his account, or maybe the multiple, almost certainly multiple people that are playing his account, are based in China.
Yeah, he does speak Chinese. I've seen him on TikTok. Yilong Ma.
Elon Ma.
That's him.
Yeah.
What can't he do?
Yeah. Also, that guy Tony that sells light up signs.
Yeah.
Hey, homie, it's Tony. Here's my Donald Trump impersonation. So yeah, the responses to all of this have, of course, been telling in their own right. With many people, finally, this is what it took. Path of Exile.
After everything, like, wait a second, is this guy full of shit?
Yeah.
It finally came for something I actually care about and have knowledge about.
Yes, and look, people, you love to see it. Coming to the realization that, wait, if he's lying about this, what else has he been lying about?
It's similar to when he took over Twitter and he started talking constantly about like coding and web development. And there were people who were just like, listen, when he was talking about cars, when he was talking about rockets,
Sure, sounded
like,
right.
I don't know anything about that, so sure. But I know a fuckload about like running a website and coding, and everything he's saying is absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
Meaningless.
It's actually kind of good that he keeps running his mouth because he'll constantly have to put his foot in it.
Yeah.
Anyways, others simply stated that it would have been totally fine if he just streamed himself learning how to play the game, in all honesty.
People would have loved that.
Yeah, instead, and you know what? Path of Exile fans would have loved it because he'd have been promoting the game and doing it in a way that shows that it's accessible to even the biggest dumbasses.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a joke amidst all the other accusations. But instead, he chose to blatantly lie and pretend that he's a genius with unlimited time to game. And it was very obvious to anyone who knows what they're doing that Elon is full of shit. Now, okay, take a pause. Take everything that you just heard and spread it across everything that he's ever stuck his nose in, and how the response from people who are actually doing the work is always, this guy has no fucking clue what he's talking about.
Remember the submarine?
Yeah.
The moment that for a lot of us was like, oh, this guy actually sucks, because he invented a new submarine from scratch that anyone who knows about these kinds of rescues was like, well, that's just not going to work.
Yeah. Boom. Did a light go on? Great. Welcome back to reality, gamers. We certainly missed you.
Yeah. I'm sorry it took this long, but it's glad to have you here.
Yeah. It turns out people are finally, hopefully, waking up to the fact that this guy just puts his fucking nose in everything.
Yeah. He's a big old liar.
All right, well, we're going to cut it here and save some time, save some stories for the rest of our videos this week. But before we go, I know that it has been a couple of episodes now, but we've been dealing with the fires and my head hasn't really been screwed on straight. So Elliot has been writing and I've been editing, which I obviously really appreciate. And I can't thank you enough for helping in that way.
Now my brain doesn't work.
Yeah, but since I got to write today and haven't had a chance to properly thank my mom for everything, I did want to take a moment and just say how much I will miss her and how much of an impact that she had on my life. my sense of humor, my general sense of wonder for the world. She was the one that was responsible for that. She was such a great person. And although, yeah, she's gone now, I will always have my memories of her. And I'm very, very lucky that, you know, for the past 5 or 6 years, we've spoken every single morning. And I was blessed enough to have the chance to literally say goodbye before she passed. I know in a lot of people's lives, people can pass very suddenly. I feel very lucky that I was able to spend time with her before she went. And aside from all of that, I wanted to thank all of you personally for the support and the kind words over the past couple of weeks. I mean, it's impossible to respond to everyone, but I read or tried to read every message that I could on Instagram, BlueSky, and of course the comments here on YouTube. It was very heartwarming to see all of your support and well wishes. It makes the healing process that much easier. Having said that, going forward, I know there were some days we missed last year. We don't always want to explain ourselves every time. What we typically do, for future reference, 4 episodes a week. For some reason, we miss an episode in the coming weeks or months. It's just because we have something important going on. It's really no other reason. We will be here otherwise because you were all there for me. So paying it back. Thank you again. And now, enough of my shit. Please, if you're able, donate to the LA Food Bank using the button below.
So many of you have, but if you haven't, join the party. The water's warm.
Yeah, it's fun. Get in there. Toss $5 in. Then you're contributing. And your contributions will go to people in need right now as a result of the fire, and also people in the future.
People always gotta eat.
Yeah, our other videos will pop up. Please leave a like on this video to make sure it hits that algorithm. Leave a comment, or just keep on watching, because that's honestly the best. Thank you again, and we will see you soon for some tech news.
Bye-bye.
So it has been a couple of months since we last caught up with our buddy FouseyTube. At one time, Yusuf was arguably the biggest creator on YouTube, but now he has hit rock bottom more times than I can count. Last time we talked, Fousey was experiencing his annual crash out, only this time things got even more explosive than usual, with him going off and attacking several of his employees, both physically and mentally.
Fire the cameraman in 5 minutes. Swear to God, on my mother's heartbeat, you would be fired right now. And you personally, I think I would have punched in the face. Stop getting face. Hey, are you slow? Go work at Chuck E. Cheese.
Like even his own family was not spared in his quest for someone to blame for his failures.
I'm a Muslim. You guys put me on this earth, Baba, but now I'm 34, so I'm living my own life. So, Baba, this is the last you're ever gonna see me. I live in Australia now.
It's just hilarious to me how someone can go from trying to present themselves as a beacon of positivity and pursuing your dreams, and then the very next day the dude goes against everything that he preaches, develops a massive ego overnight, and pretty much walks around as if he was a god on earth who can abuse and treat anyone around him like a peasant.
Kevin, when I say spray, you go to her and you do this in the face, okay?
I've known individuals like this who treat people around them like crap when they feel like it, and then they try and play it off or play the victim later like nothing ever happened. These types of people almost always end up alone or with their lone victim who endures that type of abuse. But this is really just the Fousey cycle at this point. First, he's down and out, humble and begging for pity. At this stage, he's likely reconnected with God and his family. Then he starts to get some fame again, some clout online, maybe lands a few collaborations with bigger content creators. He then starts to get some money and immediately turns to material possessions for validation, and then his true self kind of starts to leak out. He may say something to the effect that he's going to be the biggest entertainer in the entire world, or maybe he's going to put on some massive events, and then he destroys his life like a horrific plane crash that leaves no survivors.
I'm not even gonna sit here and say sorry but like I'm trying to explain to y'all, like, now that my adrenaline dumped and I'm back to Yusuf, and I open Twitter and I see what Fousey did, I'm like...
Well, now Fousey has announced his new career, proclaiming that the Fousey character he created as Yusuf is dead and never coming back.
King Crash Out. He's pretending to be me. It's not me, okay?
You're not gonna get away with this. They're gonna know it's not you. They're gonna know it's not me. You're not me, okay? You're not.
But before we get into his continued horrible choices, I want to tell you guys about a great choice that you can make with today's video sponsor, Mando. When it comes to deodorant, I feel like most people just think about their armpits, but obviously there's many other cracks and crevices of your body that are liable to get smelly. And Mando is here to help you guys control that odor. Mando was actually created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal body. Get started on your Mando journey and smell better today. So Fousey's big plan now is to become a rapper. This damn near 40-year-old man thinks that he is going to be the next big thing in music, selling out stadiums.
Took a long break, bitch, I'm back, now I'm too hot. I can't fit these racks that's in my bank in a shoebox.
I mean, let's call a spade a spade. This is downright pathetic. Like, this dude should be starting a family or running a business by now. Filthy rich with his entire life situated after being handed the world on a silver platter.
Some tart asked me why Aiden never shout me out, like I'm supposed to give a
He was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for years, and instead of investing any of it or building something away from YouTube and his Fousey persona, he overspent renting an LA condo. He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on massage parlors and other useless material possessions like jewelry and cars. And now this guy is still out here begging for crumbs at the bottom of the degenerate streaming barrel. I mean, seriously, compare him to someone like Roman Atwood, his longtime friend who had a very similar career trajectory as Fousey. The two even went on a damn world tour together and were co-headliners. But one guy was smart with his money, he never crashed and burned, and now he's just older with his wife and his family, and building businesses, running a podcast, and basically just doing whatever the f he wants. I'm sure he could walk away from the internet tomorrow. That is how it should be when you're blessed with so much wealth in such a short period of time. But obviously, there's always another side to the coin, and that is the life of Yusuf.
YSC, Crash Out, Crash, Mr. Viral, Mr. whatever you want to call me. Hi. Y'all thought you could say whatever the hell you wanted about me in TikTok comments, Instagram, YouTube. I saw everything, and you have to pay for it.
So now he's changing his name and his online persona from Fousey to Crash Out YSC, and in his first single titled First Day Out, he filmed a video of his funeral that was directed by King Bach of all people. Yes, like I'm talking about the one dude from Vine who no one has heard from for the last decade. The poor guy must be down so bad that he's taking this type of work.
All right, and you know, if you want to come and pay your final respects while the poem is going, feel free to. Here we go.
In the video, Fousey is basically throwing a pity party for himself before he breaks out of a coffin to stick it to his haters and tell them that he's not going anywhere, questioning where his real friends were when he was down and out.
They don't like the truth because I be stating facts. They say it's killer, we killed it. I'm okay with this.
Now, honestly, this has to be my favorite moment in the entire music video, when the guy just starts dancing around like a little kid.
You're a fan, you're a fan, you're a fan, you're a fan. Eminem will call you a motherfucking fan, you're a fan.
I don't know, something about the guy who rode Drake for the greater part of the last 10 years, at one time even trying to make himself into a carbon copy of him, using the Kendrick and Not Like Us reference, just doesn't sit right with me. But hey, I guess it makes about as much sense as this entire era of Fousey.
That's the first time I've ever been on top of like the scariest shit I've ever done in my life. Don't take life for granted, because one day what's guaranteed is we're all gonna be inside one.
And keep in mind, guys, this single was supposed to be his big moment that he has been teasing for months. But when it came out, it actually got less than 50,000 views in the first day. And even days after it being covered by some of the biggest streamers and content creators, it has only racked up around 175,000 views. Keep in mind, this is uploaded on his main channel that has over 10 million subscribers, meaning not even 2% of those people were willing to click on this video. And I truly believe that most of the people who did tune in were just there to see how bad it could truly be. Like, even the basic fundamentals of making a song sound decent, like proper mixing and mastering and layering of the track, are really nowhere to be found. In fact, the video appears to have been edited on CapCut, so I'm guessing that he mixed this shit himself in GarageBand. I mean, it truly sounds putrid. And it's really funny because this isn't even the first time that Fousey has tried his hand at music. Around 6 years ago, he had a song with DJ Khaled that was far more popular than this will ever be. But once again, I guess this is all part of the long, never-ending cycle that he puts himself through every year. Like, one day we will totally see a 60-year-old Fousey Fousey crashing out on the latest trend. At the end of the day, I really do feel like streaming was just about the worst thing that someone like Fousey could have stumbled upon. The guy is obviously impulsive, he's destructive, and constantly having to engage with a live community that he's trying to entertain so that he can go viral is a recipe for disaster for someone like him.
You are a debt to me. Every single thing I said to you was a lie. I didn't love you. Every time I you, I thought about my ex. I hate you. You're Chuck E. Cheese's. Listen, when my album comes out, when you start hearing it, when you're in the club or getting by a Chuck E. Cheese rap, don't you dare text me.
And on the other hand, rapping is also considered a young man's game, and nothing that he is bringing to the table here really tells me that we should take him seriously at all. I mean, I would say this guy used to be considered somewhat of an inspiration, someone who at the very least attempted to wear their faults on their sleeve.
I felt worthless. I felt ugly. I felt gay. I felt that like that.
But over the last 6 years, Fousey has taken every opportunity to show himself to be a narcissist who is only interested in using people around him for his own personal gain. And it's like no matter how hard he tries to present himself a certain way, I feel like people have caught on to this trend.
Pull out whatever you're talking about, you clip farmer. Pull out whatever.
The guy has deep-rooted identity issues, a problem with social validation, and ultimately he's always been driven by a deep sense of insecurity. I mean, it's one thing for like an 18 to 25-year-old person to still be acting this way, but this guy is damn near middle-aged, still embarrassing himself online for a pretty minuscule amount of money that he could have been making passively if he just would have been smart at all about any investment back in the day.
Excuse me? Can I borrow $4?
No, I'm sorry, you can't ask my customers that.
I can't ask another human to pay for my coffee? Is that a nice rule? I'm a millionaire. I'm asking to be spared $4. It's okay, thank you. You guys are all broke as
I mean, like, if he would have been investing back then, like in 2012 through 2017, oh my God, that money would be compounding and making so many more little money bags. But no, instead the guy wanted jewelry, he wanted cars, he wanted all this bullshit. And even now when he touches money, he still does the exact same thing. He's asking his audience, oh, what supercar should I buy this week? Or I guess I should say likely rent. Either way, I want to know what you guys think about the latest update on Fousey. I do want to thank you guys for watching today's video and dropping a like, maybe sharing with a friend. I also encourage you to go check out the sponsor of today's video, Mando. But as you guys know, it's been your boy, the Tan Superman, and some other internet narcissist out you need to be covered. So I'm out. Peace.
This IRL streamer has been on a downward spiral after putting his friend's life at risk and scamming his fans, and he was now outed as being a fraud, as the dude just keeps getting a reaction for his dumb actions. And not only physically as well, as stated earlier, he also outed himself as a fraud and asked the interviewer to not include it. So if you see my recent videos on Jack, you might have seen that he's been falling down a staircase perpetually for the last couple of weeks. My first video covering Jack was exactly 1 year ago on February 25th, and so much has happened since then that it's kind of surprising how it all turned out. Which all started with a 13-year-old Jack back in 2016 showing up to the FaZe house uninvited, along with some extremely questionable parental choices for allowing their kid to do that in the first place. He's now evolved into one of the most obnoxious streamers to have ever set foot on the internet. And a whole plethora of things have happened. You have the sucker punch, the lawsuit revolving the sucker punch, the almost ending your friend's life, then forcing your friend to film him for his clickbait YouTube video so he can also click farm just like he did with the sucker punch video. Then you have crypto pump and dumps, and now gambling. A true highlight from that car crash, though, was this.
Listen, man, I just crashed my car. I lost 200 grand. I need to make my money back somehow.
Right. And that obviously resulted in Kig permanently banning him for dangerous behavior. And I'm saying permanently banned like this because that aged like milk, as 3 months later, he's now been unbanned. Apparently, Kig does not hold their word and will fold for anyone who gives their platform enough relevance, even though if said streamer allegedly has a lot of botted traffic, because it's very obvious they're sending a clear message with this. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, if that wasn't enough, right after the McLaren incident, Jack was caught once again in the middle of a self-inflicted controversy because because the dude just keeps shooting himself in the foot when it comes to his own reputation and credibility, because he just starts straight up launching crypto meme coins where he just rug pulls his own audience over and over again. This one was kind of funny because at the end, like, his plan massively backfired because sure, he was able to get a little bit of money out probably, but I don't even think he made 1% of what he was hoping to make from all this. And he just took this massive reputation hit. Just to put things in perspective, like Boogie 2988's coin pumped way harder than Jack Doherty's. And that really made people go, hold up, how many people are actually watching this guy? So that caused a new effect, and then people started bringing up, oh wait, and that's when the botting allegations started to resurface again.
Okay, Jack Doherty with the views. Look at robot views. Okay, let's see stable Ronaldo. Okay, let's see. Oh, whoa.
Yeah, it's safe to say that doesn't look right. But now he's pulling some new tricks out of his bag to, I guess, maybe counteract the botting allegations, because now he's trying to offer the chance of winning $100 if you simply watch his streams. I love how this dude's solution to like all of his problems is, let's throw some money at it. Low viewership? All right, we'll throw some money at it. My security guard sucker punched someone and then I live streamed it all, then used it to clip farm and gain more viewers? Throw some money at that problem.
There's certain calculated decisions I have to make, or it's like going through a lawsuit, blah, blah, but it's like not all the time. It goes there, you just settle, give them money, everyone's happy, it's cool, whatever.
I also love how he just concluded that his bodyguard assaulting a random person at a party that he live streamed and used to clip farm to gain more viewers is just a cost of doing business. That really just sets the bar for the kind of guy he is. But that's also exactly what happened after the car wreck that he caused himself when his friend's face was busted open, and weeks later, when trying to clean his image, he started this live stream with a surprise intention of gifting his friend Michael a jet ski.
Cool girlfriend buys her boyfriend a freaking boat. Guys, I'm moving to a house on the water. So now we have 3 jet skis, but technically we have 4 jet skis because you guys don't know, I crashed my McLaren 3 days ago, literally 3 days before my birthday. And one of my best friends / filmer, Michael David, was in the car. So I'm gonna make it up to him and I'm gonna get him a supercharged jet ski, the one he's been wanting for forever. And he was literally gonna take out like a loan to get this jet ski. So he wants it really, really badly. So I'm just gonna get it for him because he deserves it after everything I put him through, and I feel bad. So I'm gonna make it up to him. Even though it's my birthday, I got the people from Broward Motorsports pulling up with a brand new 300 horsepower supercharged jet ski to surprise Michael David for everything I put him through.
Aw, that's so sweet.
That's like a I'm
Aw,
sorry.
Jack.
That's a I'm sorry gift. No, I'm kidding.
Happy Michael David. I'm glad he's okay.
Oops, my reckless actions almost killed you, but here's a jet ski. Enjoy.
The key is not to drive your jet ski in the dark. This is against the law, not even just that. This ain't right.
But the YouTuber Pat God recently uploaded an interview with Jack Doherty on his channel, and honestly, I am surprised that he got, number one, Jack in the call, and that Jack stayed in the call for that long.
So one thing that a lot of people were asking about that I'll just relay for you is your primary source of income. Where would you say you make the most amount of money on the internet? If you don't mind disclosing that. If you do, that's
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're digging for the OnlyFans answer. No, I'm kidding, but obviously, I mean, it's not like, so that's not known. But yeah, I mean, a decent amount of my money comes from OnlyFans management and that side of things, but also a decent chunk of it, my monthly income comes from my own stuff. I have a kick deal, I have a gambling deal, I have a YouTube channel and a bunch of other stuff. So
not like that's like new information, but what's really interesting about this interview is this is the first time anyone has actually pressed Jack about shilling OF and gambling to a young fan base. And Jack did not take this well at all. Like, the dude was so uncomfortable that he just kept deflecting throughout this entire interview.
So basically what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna get paid to stream yourself gambling, correct?
Basically.
Okay, and do you have some sort of code where like someone can sign up with your code and then you'll get a percent of that?
What are you, the feds?
I'm just wondering. I mean, do you have a code? Because I mean, there's a lot of ethical issues people have with people.
No, I don't have a code yet. We haven't even figured all that out yet. But it's more of like I just rock the brand, you know. I don't even gotta gamble. I don't like gambling. I'm not really for gambling.
I'm not for gambling, but he's signing a gambling deal. Horrifying fact, gambling addicts have the highest rates of ending their own lives out of all addictions. I don't know the kind of deal that Jack is signing, but I've been offered some pretty big gambling deals before, which obviously I denied. But I can talk a little bit about how that was structured, as the deal seemed to be pretty industry standard, as it was simply emailed to me. I was offered a flat fee for promotions, plus a percentage of the money generated from my code or link, which directly means I was offered a percentage of what my audience loses. I don't know about you guys, but that straight up feels like blood money to me. Obviously, what I was offered probably looks a little bit different than when Jack signed, but if I were to guess, and this is pure speculation, I have no idea, just some educated guessing here, he would probably be paid a monthly fee for a banner or a logo on his streams, and then an hourly payment for when he streams himself gambling, most likely with house money. And then on top of that, he'll likely get a percentage for what his code or link generates. So here's Jack squirming when PackGod presses him more on this deal.
So why are you doing a gambling deal then? Because I'm
money, you know, at the end of the day, we all do things for money, but
I know, but so you say you don't like gambling, but you're willing to do it just for money.
Jack Horty, but I call him. No, I'm kidding, but
that's just do you feel like it may be a negative thing by any chance to promote gambling to especially, you know, a younger audience, considering the fact that it may cause them into signing up onto these gambling sites and becoming gambling addicts themselves?
I mean, as long as they use my code, I'm completely okay with it.
At least he's honest, but he backpedals immediately.
So you're okay with them developing a gambling addiction as long as it financially benefits yourself?
Bro, I don't think I'm gonna be starting anyone's gambling addiction. I'm not going that deep into it, bro. I'm just trying to get a bag.
But if you that's either incredibly naive of him or he's just lying. Because for this to be a profitable deal for the gambling site, his audience has to lose a lot of money, more money than what they're paying him.
I know not to gamble. Obviously I have a lot of money and I don't gamble. Like, it's like,
but
you just
so you agree that gambling is you think that gambling is a stupid thing to do, correct?
Sure.
So why would you willingly promote that to your fans?
What? Because why not? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, the honest answer is he's being paid a lot of money.
Just because I personally know people that have ruined their entire lives over gambling.
Trust me, I know too. I help people around me too that have the same problem.
I know, but you just, but do you see why that's so weird?
I'm right back in once I get my code.
Yeah, okay.
Just say 99% gamblers quit right before their biggest win, huh? No, I'm kidding. Don't put that in there.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely regrets this interview. This interview is legendary. Bravo to PackGod for pulling this off, because here he just straight up outed Jack for being a fraud. He doesn't like gambling. He doesn't gamble. He knows it's bad. And in his own words, it's ruined some of his friends. But he will still happily promote it as long as they use his link. Obviously, there's a joking element to that, but still, dude, Jack has essentially just been trying to speedrun the title of the most disliked creator for the past year now, and he's really climbing that leaderboard. I feel like the sad reality here is Jack seems to be stuck in this cycle of increasingly desperate attempts to stay relevant, and it's only making things infinitely worse for himself, because every time you think he hits rock bottom, he somehow manages to get back up and find a new low. But as I mentioned previously, he is now back on Kick, because apparently Kick does not hold their word. When they say a permanent ban, you know that's not permanent. And I guess there was hints in the PackGod interview, because he said he still had a Kick deal. But this is how he opened his first stream back.
I'm gonna be one cocky ass mother, and then I'm gonna humble myself out, all right? But until then, I'm gonna be the cockiest Y'all mad because I'm back. Everyone, because no one thought I'd ever be back, but I'm back, baby. But I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna be too cocky just for the first week, just because everyone that didn't believe in me, man. But listen, I'm gonna be way more humble moving forward, and I'm never gonna up again. I know I've said it a million times, but trust me, bro. It was an accident. What happened? What got me banned was an accident. Accidents happen, bro. That's why it's called an accident.
Okay, have fun. I don't buy it. I guess we'll see how that ages. But I mean, hey, at least he didn't spray a bunch of bug killer on the produce section in the Walmart like this guy did as a TikTok prank. And now he's facing 16 years in prison. So you can check out that story here because it is absolutely insane. But if you're new here, feel free to subscribe and I'll see you guys hopefully in the next video. Peace.
It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
When you get caught with your pants down, you're supposed to say, I got caught with my pants down.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do. It's the only, especially if you're public, it's very clear that you're incorrect.
Well, the irony of this situation is if he just kind of left it, it probably wouldn't have made anywhere close to the splash that it's made. And we told him that. We said, hey, Barbra Streisand effect is going to happen.
The money that you thought you were making and the popularity you thought you were making is all going to be spent on attorney's fees. And I don't care if I win or lose. I just want you to spend money. You see? So all this dark energy that you're bringing toward me, I've alchemically converted that energy into money. That's exactly what I've done.
Only Joe Rogan can bring on a degenerate con man into his studio, encourage and entertain his whack theories, and then turn on him after he gets exposed for being a fraud. It seems like Joe's always the last one to figure it out these days. Billy Carson appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience last year in June to discuss his theory of the Anunnaki, a group of alien gods who led an ancient advanced civilization and created us humans to mine gold, which naturally Rogan took at face value. Except what Rogan didn't realize at the time was that he was entertaining a mentally ill lunatic who literally sells potions on his website. I'm sorry, did nobody on Joe's team think to check out the guy's website before booking him? It's called forbiddenknowledge.com. So it's safe to say that Rogan's infamous bullshit detector has well and truly been smashed into 1,000 pieces and disappeared from the face of the planet.
It's one of those things where it's very unfortunate when people get caught with their pants down. And I'm not an expert in many things, but the things that I am an expert on, you could wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning and ask me about those things. Like martial arts or comedy, I could tell you, I could give you an expert version of reality. It seems like he does not have that. And he is a wonderful talker, and it's a lot of fun. I like watching his videos. I love all that ancient history stuff, and even the most ridiculous tinfoil hat aspects of ancient. It's fun.
It's entertainment.
But when he was on with you, it was quite apparent that you are an actual expert in the Bible and in many religious texts, and that he didn't necessarily have the facts straight.
Okay, so I'm going to take you guys through all the juicy details of this beef between conman Billy Carson and biblical scholar Wesley Huff, because they actually had a debate late last year after Billy's appearance on JRE. And to say that Wes wiped the floor with this guy is a massive understatement. Wes basically unbuttoned Billy's shirt, unbuckled his belt, unzipped his pants, and stripped him naked for the world to see how full of shit he really is. And as homoerotic as that sounds, it was actually fucking hilarious. In fact, it was so bad that Billy has apparently launched a legal action against 5 people related to this debate in an effort to steal back the narrative and save his livelihood. He's effectively trying to silence them. Seriously, if you guys want to have a laugh, stick around to the end where I go through a couple of clips from his unhinged 3.5-hour rant on a live stream after the debate got published in December. The guy has a full-on meltdown. But we can't let Rogan get away with this. As much as I credit him for getting someone like Wes Huff on the podcast, who's an actual expert in ancient texts so that he can clarify the record and explain why Billy Carson is a fraud, Rogan has a tendency to exploit mentally ill conspiracy theorists just for clicks and then turn on them once they get exposed for all the things they said while they were in his studio. Just ask yourselves, did we really need an expert to tell us this guy was full of shit?
Have you talked to Terrence Howard? Do you know his theory about how planets are created? That it's just things ejecting from the sun over billions and billions of years, and that there's a Goldilocks zone where you can create life.
Right.
And that's where the people are.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes
Shout
sense
out
that
to Terrence Howard, because I just talked to him a couple hours ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, so we were talking about wave conjugations and everything.
Me up for like 3 days. I left this podcast for 3 days. I was like, God damn. First of all, how the f is he so smart? Like, how would you ever imagine that a dude who's an actor on a television show or in a movie is that smart? Like freaky smart.
You honestly could not make this shit up. Joe Rogan testing Terrence Howard's theories with now disgraced Billy Carson is peak JRE. All we need now is for Joe to convince ChatGPT that we're all lemmings forced into slavery by the Anunnaki, and my 2025 bingo card will be complete. But for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, let me get you up to speed. Billy Carson's theory is that these ancient deities called the Anunnaki were advanced ancient aliens from a planet far, far away called Nibiru. They came to Earth thousands of years ago in search of gold. Now, supposedly, gold was what they needed to stabilize their planet's atmosphere, because science, so they came down to Earth, genetically engineered humans out of mixtures of primates and their own DNA to create a labor force to mine gold. Oh, and along the way they passed on their knowledge in advanced technology and science, which led to the construction of megalithic structures such as the Egyptian pyramids.
So the idea is that there were beings that were having wars on this planet. Were they? Do you believe they were having wars with people that were revolting, or were they having wars with other beings?
They were fighting with each other. And evidence of these wars can be found in the book of Deuteronomy in the modern-day Bible. These gods, and I do mean God with an S, because everywhere in the Bible where it says God singular, it's actually a mistranslation. They were fighting each other over resources and people and control of the planet. And you see these wars in the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, the Sumerian tablets. And these wars are just nonstop. No matter where you go in any culture, you're going to discover that these beings, in some way, shape, or form, engaged mankind, brought knowledge, teaching, building techniques, and just so much more wisdom and information, esoteric wisdom, alchemy. All these things came from these people.
The craziest version of this story is that they genetically engineered us out of lower primates and put us here to mine gold. That's the wackiest version of it, right?
Right. That's the bare bones minimum.
Yeah, the wackiest version is that they made us, which is, we've talked about this a couple of times, but how bizarre it is that human beings have this incredible fascination for gold.
So the theory goes that because the human race was born out of the DNA of the Anunnaki, we have this advanced esoteric knowledge sitting deep in our brains, just waiting to get unlocked. And Billy Carson believes that certain individuals have been able to do this, such as himself and Terrence Howard. Well, how fucking convenient, huh? Oh, and if you were wondering how he got into all of this, well, it didn't quite happen in his mother's womb. It took him a little bit longer to unlock his Anunnaki DNA compared to Terrence Howard.
When did you start going down this road of exploring all these interesting subjects?
Well, it was a long time ago, 1977 in Miami, Florida. We moved from New York to Miami, next to the Opa-locka Airport, living in the hood. I'm outside in the backyard playing, but I'm looking at the airplanes go over. And this one day, this plane goes over, but it's not really a plane. It clears the horizon in seconds, not minutes. It just goes straight across. I know from as a little kid, the planes take a long time to go from one point to the other. And it went straight across, glowing.
A tic-tac.
Almost like a tic-tac, glowing metal, yes. And then it came back and it stopped right over me, completely silent. About, now I can estimate about 250 meters. And then it just went, pew, gone. And I ran in the house and I told my mom, hey, I can't believe what I just saw. And my mom said to me, son, back in the day, there were advanced beings that came to this planet. This is 1977.
Your mom told
my mom. Yeah. That's why I dedicated the book to her. And so I went to the library at Rainbow Park Elementary the next morning, and I told the teacher I have to go to the library inside the school, Rainbow Park, and I said I need to get all the encyclopedias on space, on aerospace. And she gave me the encyclopedias on aerospace, and that's when I started researching from that exact moment.
Wow.
And I haven't stopped since.
So you were, how old? 8?
7.
7 years old. Oh my God. You just got locked in.
I got locked in. I'm looking at submarines. I'm looking at hovercraft that existed way back then, flying discs that we had created in the military way back then. SR-71s and all this stuff. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell did I see, and I couldn't find it. But it took me down the path of technologies and advanced technologies and aerospace information. And I kind of became a quasi-aerospace historian. And that led me in further on down the line to studying, architecture and seeing a connection between the two.
Yep, that checks out. The local elementary school had encyclopedias on aerospace engineering back in the 70s. And I love how his mum casually dropped that there were ancient beings who visited us thousands of years ago from an advanced civilization. Dinner's ready, come and eat. Oh, and we were visited by ancient aliens. What are we doing here, B? But like I said at the beginning, we can't let Rogan off the hook with this one. He can't have it both ways. On the one hand, he's just talking shit and entertaining these interesting theories with a known grifter who's trying to grow his audience to sell more books and potions from his website. But then he gets an actual expert on to fact check him, and then he shits on him after he exploited him. 2 months before Rogan had Billy Carson on JRE, disgraced comedian Andrew Schultz had Billy on his Flagrant podcast as well, which Rogan reflected on with Wes during their chat last week.
Andrew Schultz and I had a discussion about this. Like he said when he had Billy on the podcast, he said, we're not going to research anything. We're not going to search anything. We're not going to do anything. Just let him talk because it's fun.
Yeah.
Andrew's awesome.
The difference is, though, Andrew Schultz isn't trying to get to the bottom of anything or dig for the truth. I mean, the podcast is called Flagrant. Rogan, on the other hand, like I keep saying, likes to play it both ways. He's either digging for the truth and exposing establishment lies, or he's just a meathead comedian talking shit with his buddies. It just depends which direction the wind is blowing. But now that you have all the background context to this debate, let's take a look at what actually happened. In October of last year, a mutual friend of Wes and Billy Carson brought them together for a virtual debate, which they both agreed to, even though they'd only been given 24 hours notice. And Billy exposed himself for being a fraud almost immediately. He was literally laying out his basic beliefs when he made a fatal error.
If you want to, I guess, go first, Billy, as to how you came about, like the findings where it seems that Jesus was not crucified, or that's not accurate?
Sure. And in my videos, and if you listen to the podcast, the statement is according to the Sinai Bible. Okay, according to the Sinai Bible, Jesus wasn't crucified in that Bible. That Bible predates the King James Version of the Bible, and the text there actually is about 12 to 14,000 differences between the Sinai Bible and the King James Version of the Bible, which came much later.
So straight away, Wes Huff's bullshit detector went off and he politely began to dismantle Billy. Remember, Carson is relying on a particular text that he believes to be the real Bible, as it predates the King James Bible. He believes that this is where it states that Jesus wasn't crucified, but he was actually married and led a normal life.
When you refer to the Sinai Bible, would you be referring to Codex Sinaiticus? Like the codex that comes... Okay. That's why I was trying to get some clarification. Codex Sinaiticus is at the British Library, so you can go and see it. It's on display. And the British Library has actually digitized the entire manuscript. So I work with manuscripts in my linguistic work. I'm an expert on early Christian scribal culture, and particularly in Greek and Coptic manuscripts. I have a facsimile. So I have a photocopy that was done by the British Library of Codex Sinaiticus that I work with in my office. The only reason I asked for clarification is because I want to make sure that what I'm addressing is actually what you mean.
Gotcha.
And not addressing something else. It's a 4th century Greek manuscript. Mm-hmm. It comes from approximately between 325 and 350 AD. And its text of the Gospels reads almost identical to the modern Greek text that we develop translations from. And you say that it denies the crucifixion, or that the crucifixion isn't there. I mean, I can go on right now, Codex Sinaiticus, and I can look up the end of, say, Matthew 27. where it has Jesus being crucified. And that's in Codex Sinaiticus, or, the John 19, or any of the other ones. So
Wes had a copy of the text Billy was referring to right behind him on the shelf, and as you could tell there, he'd studied it in great detail, and he confirmed the claims that Billy was making were completely fabricated because it was consistent with the Bible as we know it. It was at this point where Billy realized he was out of his depth and declared that he'd misspoken, and he was actually talking about a different document, which, as it turns out, just like Billy Carson, is a known fraud as well.
I found the text where I was referencing, actually, I was misquoted. I misquoted there. It's the Gospel of Barnabas.
Okay, yeah, well, so that's good. So let's deal with that too, because I've actually worked with, there are 2 manuscripts of the Gospel of Barnabas. The Gospel of Barnabas is a really interesting document because it is a known forgery. And so that's why I think it's important to get to these sources. So we know it's a forgery because it does things like in chapter 92, it says that Jesus spent 40 days on Mount Sinai, and then he came to the Jordan River and he walked to Jerusalem. But Mount Sinai is more than a week's journey away from Jerusalem, and neither Mount Sinai nor Jerusalem are close to the Jordan River. So never mind there not being a route from the Jordan River to around Mount Sinai or going to Jerusalem.
So the key ingredient that Billy Carson has been relying to cook with is a known forgery amongst biblical scholars. Basically, everything that came after that was Wes correcting Billy's incorrect interpretation of ancient texts and writings, because that's what he specializes in.
The problem is to really delve into these subjects. It takes a tremendous amount of research, years and years and years of research. You really have to know what you're talking about. Most of us don't.
Well, and especially with languages. And when you study the languages, you realize the complexities of these things. And so when someone hasn't and they're making statements that are obviously indicative of someone who hasn't studied them, it's super apparent.
Right.
And so I think it's one thing to be making claims about, say, like Christian history or the Bible, but when you start to get into like linguistics and philology, it gets messy. And if you don't know what you're talking about, it gets really apparent really fast. When I see people like Billy Carson talk about being able to read Sumerian, I'm like, dude, I read ancient languages and I can't. I've tried and I can't make heads or tails of Sumerian.
Yeah.
So
that's a tell.
Unfortunately, it kind of gives away.
Listen, I like Billy. He was a nice guy. I really enjoyed talking to him. I really do. I think his videos are fun. But I also think truth is important.
I have no problem with him as an individual.
He just needs to course correct. You're not doing people a service, especially people like myself that aren't educated in this. Like we turn to others who claim to have a vast knowledge of this to help me out. Tell me what's going on. When I sit down and talk to you, tell me what's going on. And if you don't really know, you're f***ing over a lot of people, unfortunately, for yourself.
I remember thinking to myself when I was making the video covering Billy's appearance on JRE last year, this guy so casually reinvents passages from the Bible and says things like, the Bible has been misinterpreted for centuries. For example, when he said that whenever there's a reference to God, it's actually the plural gods, and that's why we know there were these ancient aliens who came to visit us. They were god-like beings, etc., etc. So it seems kind of obvious to anyone watching that Billy was getting loose with the truth. As it turns out, he had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. And as you can imagine, being fact-checked like that in such a long and comprehensive debate with an actual expert completely ruined Billy's credibility. And when grifters get squeezed into a corner, they do what grifters do best. They grift even harder.
The fallout was that not only did he not want us to release the conversation, but then he started throwing out cease and desist letters, and then he started, trying to sue people.
What was his argument?
Apart from the fact that he was embarrassed that he lost?
Well, yeah, that's not really an argument, right?
Well, the cease and desist letter, yeah. The cease and desist letter said, I don't want you to use my name or my face in anything going forward, and anything you've used up until this point, you need to remove.
If you're a public figure, he's clearly a public figure. Is that even
Can you actually say no?
No, you can't.
So for those of you who are interested, here's the cease and desist letter, or as I like to call it, a cease and desist, that Wes received from Billy's lawyers. He's basically trying to claim that he has moral rights over the video, which he never gave consent to. Yet at the beginning of the debate, both him and Wes politely agreed that they'd been looking forward to an opportunity to debate things and flesh everything out together. So it's clear that he gave consent to the interview, which obviously would be published, but like all professional grifters, he took it a step further and potentially prejudiced any pending lawsuits against Wes by doing a live stream where he openly admitted that he was pursuing a slap lawsuit, which for those of you who don't know is illegal in most jurisdictions. It's basically when someone launches a lawsuit for the purposes of silencing or punishing somebody else for exercising their right to free speech. But why don't I let Billy explain it to you?
The money that you thought you were making and the popularity you thought you were making is all going to be spent on attorney's fees. And I don't care if I win or lose. I just want you to spend money. You see?
Yep, couldn't have explained it better myself. But of course, he didn't stop there. He went on to explain how the debate was part of a cult conspiracy to defraud him and tarnish his good name, because for one reason or another, these Christians had become obsessed with him. According to Billy, they were trying to exploit his high public profile to elevate themselves into the public consciousness so they could grow their cult and profit off his downfall.
They have to network with hundreds of thousands of people all over the world to supposedly end Billy Carson's career. Well, they only don't realize not only are they not ending my career, they're making me more famous because they call my name out every 5 minutes. I'm on their tongue and their lips every minute of the day. When they go to sleep, they dream about me. When they wake up, the first thing they do before they kiss their wife or their boyfriend, they talk about me. They post me and call my name 24 hours a day, nonstop. They're absolutely infatuated with me.
Oh man, that was spoken like a true narcissist. This guy has mad Brendan Schaub vibes. Instead of walking away and taking the L, he doubles down and becomes fully unhinged. The scary part is how calm and collected he is while spouting all this nonsense. This guy really believes his own bullshit. He's got it all figured out. After unlocking his Anunnaki DNA at the age of 7 years old, he's been channeling all the dark energy around him for his own benefit, just like in Star Wars.
And because of what they have done now, they have created this whole energy field. That's what's behind me now, this flower up energy. They've created this energy. There's only one force that exists in the entire known universe. And that one force can be used for darkness, and it can be used for light. Just like the Jedi. The Jedi will use the force for dark. The Jedi will use the force for light, and the Empire will use the force for darkness. It's up to the wielder of the power. All this energy that they're in their crock pot stirring up. We're gonna attack Billy Carson. We must do everything we possibly can, including making fake accounts, making bots and robot accounts to comment and hate and try to thumbs down videos and attack and threats against his 12-year-old child. Threats against his family. Where are we at now? I'm at 11,499 people. The most I've ever had was 5,000. You guys doubled my popularity on a live video in one day. Thank you so much. All the dark energy, all your listeners and all your followers and all your cult people and all your people that are in your organizations that are coming to watch my video with that dark energy. How are we gonna see the fall of Billy Carson? That's dark energy, that frequency that's coming here. You see this behind me? That's the face of God. God's not a man flying around with a magic wand granting wishes. God is a frequency, and it's your job to tune in. Y'all didn't tune in. See, I'm tuned in. So all this dark energy that you're bringing toward me, I've alchemically converted that energy into money. That's exactly what I've done.
Yeah, bro's high as fuck. Just like all the grifters before him and after him, it's always just about the money. And like I said at the beginning, Joe Rogan's complicit in all of this. He can't expect to bring these guys into his studio who are clearly suffering from severe cases of delusional narcissism and then just turn around and say, whoops, he got caught with his pants down. Yeah, bro, you're the one who pushed him out there to your tens of millions of followers and now you're acting like you are the victim. It's like all those YouTubers who are trying to play the victim card after the honey scam got exposed. I mean, Rogan himself is still shilling for BetterHelp and AG1 on his podcast, even though everyone knows about their dodgy practices and false claims. So it's going to be interesting to see how far this goes. In my opinion, Wes's lawyers should be able to easily get any slap suit thrown out of court without much damage, which will honestly just make Billy Carson look even worse. I'm telling you, this guy is Brendan Schaub all over again. But no doubt he'll still have thousands of followers who won't care, and they'll still keep buying his elixir of the Anunnaki and subscribe to whatever other scheme he's got going. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the whole situation between Billy Carson and Wes Huff. While you're here, hit the subscribe button and make sure you give me a thumbs up if you ended up liking this video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.
Enjoy your little 100,000, 200,000, 600,000, whatever views you.
It's not so simple as, oh, you help some guy get out and get resentenced and look what he did and all these people in the movement. Okay, you're in.
Joe, what Joe does that you don't have the capacity to do is not make it all about himself.
Hold on. Oh, hold on. There's a clip. No, hold on.
There's got to be a clip out there of you not interrupting.
No.
Fine. Look that up.
I'm not interrupting. I'm having a fucking conversation.
Yeah, okay.
That's how conversations fucking work.
Agreed. Yeah.
We're 5 minutes into the new year and Bert Kreischer has already thrown a temper tantrum because he can't handle the truth. Watching Bert's friends roasting him on his own podcast is like watching a circus animal being paraded around in a cage for everyone to see. On the latest episode of Two Bears, One Cave, Ari Shafir came on to promote his new comedy special coming out next week called America's Sweetheart, which is part of a new 2-special deal he made with Netflix. In March of 2024, Ari also joined YMH Studios with his travel podcast, where he recycles the same old guests from everyone else's podcast, so it made sense for Tom to put him on Two Bears, seeing as he basically works for him now. By the way, in case I haven't mentioned this yet, Yanis Pappas and Chris DiStefano's podcast also joined